Okay. What can you get if you are willing to travel 2.5 hours out of New York City? That is what we're talking about today, because we have so many people who are looking for homes who say, I will not travel a minute longer than 2 hours from where I live, or 2 hours, 15 minutes. 2.5 is definitely like, would rather just buy a place in Anchorage and fly to there than get a place upstate if I have to do that. And we wanted to talk about that and talk about some of the amazing things that people are finding when they're willing to have a little bit more geographic breadth to their search. And also why there are some really, really awesome places that are actually just that little bit further away. And even why some of the places you think are further away are probably not even 2.5 hours away. So we got all those things today. So welcome. And officially, for anyone out there listening from our board of realtors, my name is Megan Brenn-White. I'm a licensed real estate broker with the Upstate Curious team of Keller Williams Realty, Hudson Valley North. C'est moi. We have here today Schoharie Co, who is also a real estate salesperson on the team, and Lee Boxer, also a real estate salesperson on the team. And you guys probably know us from Upstate Curious on Instagram. We also have the app Upstate Curious, a website, a new newsletter. That's all newsy and fun and exciting. And we're really happy to have you here today. So I have actually, which will be a surprise for anyone who's been at these Zooms before, prepared things in advance, some questions and things. So that's new and fun. So yes, let me start by saying that as licensed real estate agents, we can't answer any questions that would come close to violating fair housing rules. So you can't we cannot, and then there are, for everything that you think is like someone's asking in a good way, like maybe they say they want an area with a lot of diversity. You can picture that same question in the reverse. Hey, I'd like an area that has no diversity. Is Greene County that? You can see for very obvious reasons why you would not want to support those kind of questions. So we can't talk about, race, really politics, anything like that, unfortunately. But you can go to the app at Upstate Curious, and you can get crowdsource answers about that. So you just go to Apple or Google app stores and just type in Upstate Curious, and you'll be able to see that. I see Dan Parker in the middle of my screen. Is anyone else seeing that? I don't know what anybody ever sees. No, you're not.
Okay. I saw Dan Parker for a minute too.
Okay, cool.
Some people are coming in and their mics are on, so I'm just turning them off so they don't pop up.
Perfect. Great.
I just see his name, but not his face.
It's just a black screen. Dan Parker.
It's always an adventure here. Dan, we're not singling you out. We are not in a bad way. So what I want to do is have actually Lee and Schoharie and Angelica, the three of you guys, just introduce yourselves kind of, briefly now, and just say, Schoharie, why don't we start with you? Like where you live now, when you moved there full time, why you love it.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm Schoharie Co, licensed real estate salesperson. Upstate Curious team, Keller Williams, Hudson Valley North. So glad everybody could come. This is a real close topic to my heart because I keep going farther and farther north and west, and would love to share my experience with folks. I was in New York City and mostly in Brooklyn since 1998. I came up there for college and always loved going upstate, and often went kind of, Megan, where you are, like around Accord and Kerhonkson. That was like upstate to me. But then as I kept going upstate, I kept going farther and farther. And my husband and I are wedding DJs. And so we started going actually up to Schoharie County to some great venues up here, and just saw how beautiful this area is. So when we first bought, we actually pulled back a little bit from Schoharie County, and we thought we'd be a little closer because we were going to go back and forth on weekends. So we actually bought in Lexington, which is a beautiful town, Lexington West Hill, which is in Greene County, which we love, love, love. And I still love that town. But our house had multiple units, and during COVID, we moved up, and it was just like a little too small. We were basically living in an apartment still. So last year we actually bought in Schoharie County. We're in a town called Summit. We're kind of at the top of the world. It's just us in the sky, and we're on a lake, and it's lovely. We got the house for a great price. So we are farther from the city, but there's still so much great stuff that I can talk about in a little bit. But that's where I am now in Summit, Schoharie County. Yes, thank you for spelling it.
I just put Hillary's, so all of our email addresses are always our first names plus @upstatecurious.com. So if you want to get in touch with Hillary, you can there or via the website. And yes, Schoharie County is one of the ones that would not be obvious, I think, to people. So, all right, Lee, you want to share your story?
Sure. So my name is Lee Boxer. Do I have to do the same? I'm a licensed.
No, I did it at first.
Okay. Wasn't sure. I currently live in Cairo or Leeds, whichever part of the tax map you're looking at, because it all sort of seems like one. I live in Greene County. I was in Brooklyn for about 20 years. I did not know that much about the Hudson Valley in general. I have a friend that lives in Athens, which is a really like cute, sleepy town right across the river from Hudson and right near Catskill. So me and my husband were coming up here for the past, 10 plus years visiting him, and just fell in love with the area, fell in love with Catskill, Athens, Hudson. I'm really just escaping and love Athens. It's this tiny little, Main Street village, not much there, but, and this was 10 years ago, there's more now. But so then we just decided to look up here, and we just wanted to be close to friends. So that's how we landed in Cairo. And it was sort of the perfect, distance between the river and the mountains, because I do have family that skis. So it's literally equidistant between the river and Hunter and Wyndham Mountain. So that's how I ended up here. And it's super close to everything. It's 2 hours and maybe 15 minutes without traffic from the city, which no one believes me, but it's less than 2.5 hours. So it's quite convenient. You can go up the Taconic or go up the Thruway. So you have options because you're right by the bridge. So super convenient to both sides of the river. So that's why we love it. And the views up here are amazing, just as amazing as you'll find views down by the Gunks.
I think, you know what, at some point, and maybe after Angelica speaks, or maybe even Angelica while you're speaking, I can pull up a map and sort of like actually point these areas out, because I think it would be helpful, because it is really rare for any team. I mean, I don't know any real estate team up here that covers as broad of an area as we do, particularly when you get to those outlying sort of counties. And I think that it's, you look at like where the major roads are, and I mean, even for me, like going from 209, which is not a major road in Kerhonkson, to my house adds 12 minutes to the ride, because it's like that, just like a squiggly little road. So the 2.5 hour thing, definitely gets a little weird sometimes when depending on exactly where the house is even. So, all right, thanks, Lee. Let's move over to Angelica. You have this more from a buyer agent perspective.
Yeah. I'm Angelica. I'm the head of sales on the team. I live in Stone Ridge right now, which is in Ulster County, which is not in the zone we're talking about, but I used to spend a lot of time out in Delaware County before I lived up here full time. And we love Delaware County. I think it's like the most beautiful area upstate. It's like you drive around and you just see these amazing vistas. Like Roxbury has the most amazing mountain views I think I've ever seen. Like you drive through like Andes and Bovina, and like it's just like rolling hills of farmland, and like it makes like your heart sing as you're like driving around looking at just the most beautiful landscape you can imagine. And it's also an amazing area, and we'll talk about like what you can get out there. But for people who want a lot of land and a lot of space, and like that's where you can get like a house on 60 acres. And the taxes are very low.
You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and find a link to our, I know what I'm doing. You guys just get ready.
Map on our website, right?
Yep. Boom. Y'all are gonna get to see a little sneaky peek of something here. So I'm gonna share my screen for a moment, because we are going to launch soon a Google map that our team's created with places that our team has gone to. So it has to be somewhere that we've actually physically been. And it is not that one. So let me just, and we have cute little reviews of everything. Look, you can see who on our team reviewed it. Jen B reviewed that one, blah, blah, blah. So we need to cover, we could cover more of this area that we're talking about, but roughly speaking, Can you all see that? Yeah, I think so. This is the Hudson, clearly. And this is, New Paltz, Woodstock, Roxbury, Stamford. This is over where Hillary lives. This is probably like the worst way to do this actually, because you can't see the town. I'll pull up a regular map, but there you saw it. It's cool. It's great. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, there we go. Now we can see everything a little bit better. This is up where like Lee lives around here. The other areas that are so this is what I was saying. These are the big roads, like 87 is the really big, there's the big highway on this side of the river. You have the Taconic, you have other roads here. In Livingston Manor and Sullivan County, 17 is a big road from the city. So you like, if you're right off of 17, it might literally be, half an hour less of a drive than if you are just like a little bit in here where there's less of a big road. So what you can see from this being topographical is that on this side of the river, in those areas that are a little further out, they're often the areas with the bigger mountains, which is what everybody's saying, so that is where you go out and you're like, have these kind of majestic views. You have a ton of hiking, you have skiing, but you also increasingly have a lot of really awesome communities out here because people who have, these are very low density areas. Let me put it that way. So it's like, it's not in that way. I would say Google Maps is probably not quite representative. Like it looks like, oh, there are the same number of towns and places in all of these areas, but that's, I would say not, maybe that might be like legally strictly true with municipalities, but there are definitely more like, if you're in this area in Dutchess County where you have Red Hook, Rhinebeck, Milan, Tivoli, you have all these places where there's restaurants and cafes and, whatever things that you might want to do, shops. I would say these areas around Dutchess and Ulster are kind of like, that's one of the denser rural areas, for lack of a better term. And the only towns here, the only bigger places are really Kingston, Newburgh down here. And actually, once you get up to where Lee lives, you start to go to, and actually maybe you too, right? I guess you go to Albany for stuff, right? Like I just went to Albany.
Close to Albany. Yeah, Albany is the best.
And it's great. Albany has like great, has a ton of like actually good restaurants and like a big Trader Joe's and a Whole Foods and all this stuff. So I just went up there yesterday from here where I live. So I think that's good to know. So where we're talking about, once you get to areas that are here, like in Columbia County, that feel further out, then you're basically in the Berkshires also. And that is expensive again. You're not like really saving a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting because on the New York side, the real estate is definitely cheaper than across the border in Massachusetts, but you're still like 10-20 minutes from Great Barrington, which is where like you would go, like if you have a house in Hillsdale or whatever, you'd go to the big grocery store in Great Barrington because it's closer.
And I think that even, we've seen some people starting to go further. I feel like we've had some people starting to go even further north, and certainly further north on this side to places like Greenville, which is, where's Greenville on the map? Anyways.
To the right a little bit. Yeah.
I'm just gonna go like this.
I have a few clients looking in Middleburg, which is actually the same distance as Andy's. I like to say it's 3 hours.
Really?
Middleburg is so cute. It's right near where Howe's Cavern is.
What's that called? Howe's Cavern?
Yeah, it's like one of those where you go underground and it's all stalactites and stalagmites.
It's so cool.
See, here we go. Well, you know what? This wasn't my next question. Well, it kind of is actually. So it's like, I think that like the question is really like, what, if anybody wants to say anything about like what your buyer clients, so let's just say context here, we'll go, the context is in a market that's a very strong seller's market. That's part of why we're talking about this. Again, not the only reason. There are a lot of great reasons to look at these areas that are not just based on your budget, but budget is very real for a lot of people, and the prices have gone up everywhere, which means that the prices in some of the counties a little closer to the city are now out of reach for some people. But that said, and Angelica and I were talking about this too, is that if you're a luxury buyer and you have $1 million to spend, which for sure counts as luxury in all of our area, you can get like an amazing estate in some of these areas with like 50 acres versus a really nice like modern house on 5 acres in Kerhonkson, or not.
Yeah, like you can go to Bovina and just get like an amazing like 18th century farmhouse with 50 acres and a Dutch barn, and like that would be $3-4 million in Dutchess County.
Yeah, so that's like really, that is pretty significant. So, I mean, why do you guys think that, like, what do you think people are looking for still in this market? Like, is it still second? I mean, for our buyers, is it still second homes? Are the people working from home? And then why would that be like kind of, or why would you encourage them to look further because of what they're looking for? Like, is it purely budgetary or is it other?
Wait, is that a question for us, Megan?
Yes. Sorry.
I think it's for like what some of it is like the buyer's needs, right? Some people really want incredible mountain views, or they want extreme privacy. They want to feel like they're really escaping from the city and they don't want to be close to a town or any neighbors. They want like silence everywhere. They don't want to hear any road noise or traffic. A lot of buyers are looking for certainly space in the house, but also like acreage, right? Because they want to have like their hobby farm or things like that, or they have dogs where they want to have a lot of space, or they want to be able to have their own hiking trails on their property or a water feature. And those are a lot of things that are becoming increasingly more difficult to find in the areas that are closer to the city that are now more densely populated.
Also, it's really hard to find like a really cute farmhouse. You can find that a little more north and west, and you can find that, within a certain budget down further south, I think too, for those buyers looking for that.
So
yeah, certain types of houses, I would say. Yeah, farmhouses, chalets.
Chalets. I was just gonna say, it's like
Yeah, absolutely.
Commonly farther from the city, like in the mountains.
Yeah, and I think people have more flexible schedules now too. So like traffic can just make things vary so much. So if you're able to like time or like come up for a week at a time. So some of my clients are like, I could do a whole month upstate sometimes, and they'll rent other times if they want, but just that more flexible schedule with the work from home or a couple days work from home, or working remotely. I think with that flexibility now, people can do bigger chunks upstate, and it's not like, oh, we have to leave Friday afternoon and come back Monday morning, which always gets stretched anyways, because you want to stay upstate usually longer. And that's when everybody's going back and forth. So, a ride, what normally could be 2.5 could still be 4 hours, right? But if you're able to leave at different times, you can still kind of make that time work for you.
That's actually a really interesting point, that like, if you have to go Friday, Monday, or Friday, Sunday, even the 2-hour away house could actually be 3.5 hours anyways. And if you can go like leave Tuesday morning and whatever, or just go to the city twice a month even, which is, I am seeing that. There's a couple questions that I do want to hop in on now, because I saw that DJ, hi DJ, one of our clients who just renovated, we sold a great home that he and his wife renovated, is asking about across the Delaware River in Pennsylvania, where there also is a lot of value still. And what I will say is that we are getting licensed in Pennsylvania, slowly but surely. It's like you need an actual FBI background check to have the New York State license recognized, and they keep sending us paperwork back and forth. But that is going to happen. And then Rachel just asked how difficult it is to find good contractors to do renovations on a historic property. And maybe I'd like to broaden this, because one of my questions is, what is the potential downsides to living in a more remote area? And what I have somewhat heard is that it can be that as hard as it is to find vendors in the more populated areas, can be even harder in areas where there are fewer people. Discuss.
I actually just crossed the mark where it's way easier. So,
really?
But I am like more 3.5 hours. So just to be real with folks, but up in Schoharie County, we've had our best luck. It was much harder being near the ski mountains, where I think there's a little more activity. And even before COVID, it was hard to get folks to come out for small jobs. But up here in Schoharie, it's like everybody does that work, it feels like, and they're like available, and you just ask around and people come out. So that's not the case for most people. And it was much harder in Greene County, but somehow I passed the barrier where it got easier again.
Yeah, it's definitely hard overall, I think. But we've had some luck just by word of mouth, finding some people. Sometimes they're smaller businesses, so they can only handle so much work. But and sometimes you're closer to, in some areas you're closer to Albany, which is a major city. So there are, people that
And the app, and again, like not to be like pitching the app all the time, because we don't like, it's not like a paid thing, but the app has become very helpful for that, I think. I mean, that is like one of the primary things people use it for, is to say like, hey, I live in this town, who knows a roofer or someone who could help with, or like, my wall is leaking. What could that mean? Who do I even call? And I think that's been good to find those local people. Also, next door is good for that. Once you get hyper local, and you really are looking for somebody to do something specific in your town. So Rachel, the answer to your question would be, it's difficult to find good people to do anything right now. So let's just not even say contractors, do renovations, like landscaper, plow, cleaning person, Airbnb, turnover, I think roofers are okay. Like, feels like there's enough of them, and maybe extermination. Like it's like a very small category where I'm like, it's so easy to find those people. But
Well, I think it's related to how quickly the jobs are done and how available the materials are, right? Like some plumbing jobs, because like boilers happen to be on back order everywhere. So if you need a boiler replaced, it's going to be hard to find someone to do that because it's just supply chain issue. Roofing materials, like we had a plywood shortage for a while, but I think roofing is okay now. Roofing is a really quick job. So also
they can just do it.
Yeah. Side note, don't worry if you're buying a house that needs a new roof. It's done in about 3 days. So it's not going to
That's really one of the easier problems to fix.
The house that needs a new roof.
Yeah, it's like, find a house that needs a new roof.
Not disruptive. Before you even move in, it's done in 3 days.
No, and it really is, because those guys tend to focus on, I mean, this is like, whatever, we're going way off topic, but those guys tend to focus on that one thing. So they could even travel. They could travel and they just like knock it out and then like leave and go to the next job. Whereas if you start a kitchen renovation, you open the walls and you're like, uh-oh, now I'm here in this area that's far from me for 5 months instead of 3 days. Anyways, that's a different topic. We're going back to this. I kind of want to, I have like so many other good questions here. Okay, whatever. But I kind of want to like show some houses too. So if you guys want to, Angelica and Hillary and Lee, you could also post links from Upstate Curious in a perfect world in the chat. And then I can like pull them up or whatever, if you have like houses that.
Well, if they're already sold, are they going to be on there anymore?
They are. If you change, you can toggle it to sold. So we'll see if we'll be able to do it. But I guess the question is like, I mean, we sort of have answered this, but let's actually, we haven't answered this part about jumping into the stats a little bit with, where you guys are seeing value now.
Recording in progress.
Oh, that was dramatic.
Sorry, I had to plug in my computer.
And if you want me to just cover the stats from NYSAR, I can do that to start with. And why don't I do that? Then you can like share anything if you want to. Okay, here we go. Ready? And we're off. Okay, so this is the latest report from the New York State Association of Realtors. And you can see overall in New York State, it's 1 year change, 13% increase in median sales price, minus 30% change in homes for sale. And you'll be able to see shortly that in our area, the numbers are different. They're way actually more, dramatic, unfortunately. So we're going to scooch on down to county by county. So Delaware County, one of the things that I think is important to note is just that the numbers of homes in all of these areas, including Ulster, Dutchess, Putnam, including the entire area, is just, there just are way fewer homes than you probably think. And that is what is really driving, that is part of what's driving the total, like the lack of inventory and also the increase in prices, because you have all of these things driving the, really driving the prices going up, and they are national largely. So there's like a lot of national things, not enough building having gone on since 2008. Millennials are aging into things. People who are older are staying in their homes longer. Airbnb is certainly a factor. And then you have the work from home being near a major metropolitan area where it's particularly kind of intense. So if we look at Delaware County, I mean, this is just to say that like in January of 2022, January of this year, there are only 36 new listings in the entire county versus 63 the previous year. Median sales price is up 32%, but the median sales price in Delaware County is still $218,000, which is still lower than some of the counties we're going to see. There are currently 290 homes for sale, which is 35% down, basically. If we look at Green, Green is bigger. So we have 69 homes for sale, still down almost 30%. Home prices have gone up about median sales price, 37%, but it's still at $329,000 versus $329 versus $218 for Delaware. Now, keep in mind that Green does have a lot of the ski towns. I think that's probably Hunter and Wyndham, I would imagine, really skew those prices. And then the number of homes for sale, it's 276 this year versus 515 last January, which is 46% fewer homes. That is significant. We can look at actually Columbia County. So Columbia County, again, this is where Hudson is. This is, Germantown, Tivoli's Columbia, right? Chatham.
Parts of it are Columbia, parts of it are
Dutchess. Yeah. That's why I was like, where is Tivoli?
Also, we should also just define the median for everyone. So that's the middle number in a spread of numbers. It's the middle price. That's not the average price or the most common price. That would be the mean and the mode. It's the middle price. So the prices
scientists on our team
go on either side of that.
So, and the reason that, median and average both have their pluses and minuses when you're looking at things, but average is tough because if you have 10 houses that are $100,000 and one house that's 30 million, all of a sudden the average is going to be really high. This, and with the median that would be, it would say 100,000, right? It would just
We'll go to the middle, whatever number.
Yeah. So, but you can see Columbia is, even if you're looking at these numbers, just comparing, actually in some ways they're most useful comparing to other counties, the similar number. Columbia is at 385 for the median sales price. And again, down 48.5% in the number of houses sold. So if you look at we can just quickly look at Ulster. Yes, there's poor Schoharie, like Hillary said, they don't report them here. Ulster is actually, the median price is 360, which is lower than Columbia County. And, the new listings, everything down, same thing. But Ulster has 125 new listings and 435 homes for sale, which is a lot more. Are there any other counties you guys want me to show? Sullivan, maybe? Well, Sullivan, because I think Sullivan people used to think was the inexpensive. It was the county where you could find, that was always where we looked for good value. And it still is to some extent. But because I think also because Sullivan, most of it is within that 2.5 hour distance from the city, a lot of it is. Their median sales price went from 200 to 320,000. That's one of the biggest jumps, 60% in a year. And they have 787 homes for sale. Actually, that's a higher number, and that went down less than I would have thought. Does anyone have any number things on where you see value? I always say this, it's really hard to look at these numbers and draw meaning from them because most of our clients are so specific in what they want in terms of wanting a home with some character and maybe kind of close to a town and maybe ideally with a view and a creek and all these things that we love and that appraisers may or may not care about. So it's a very small subset of the overall homes for sale. So just to say that again, is there anything that you guys would want to share about numbers, anything? Well, let's look at some houses then. So if we look here,
I think an important point is that some of the areas that are farther, since there's fewer buyers looking there, because they don't want to drive 3 hours, are going to be less competitive. So you have a much better chance of being able to get a house for, you know, without having to pay 20% over asking for it.
Right. I think that's, here's somebody saying, are these numbers related with lots or land, or are you seeing different buying or selling trends? Land has gotten much more competitive over the past couple of years, but that seems to have like slowed down a little bit, I would say, as people have really seen how difficult it is to build, you know, and how
Depends
long.
on the land too. Any land that has had any improvements done to it can still end up in a multiple offer situation.
Right. So improvements being a road, a septic system, a well. Okay. So who wants to tell me about this one? 541 John Schultes Road. Is that that's a closed
Yeah.
one?
That's closed. It closed in the fall.
And that was,
it's in Roxbury. So again, just a little further outside of the city, but beautiful, beautiful mountain chalet style home. Getting it for this price was just such a steal, in my opinion. It's such a cute chalet, little mountain home, such a great little escape. And I mean, Roxbury, it's right down the street from the main village of Roxbury, which is super cute.
and this one doesn't have, I mean, a lot of times they take the photos down after the listing's been,
Oh, they're not there?
No, but I think that the idea that you could have, was that a multiple offer situation, Lee? Do you remember?
It was a multiple offer situation, yes. It was actually a situation where mine was the backup.
Got it. And was it listed at $299? Is that why? I'm looking at it, it says it was lit. I don't know if you remember what it was listed at. It says it doesn't say the original price here, but
I can find it.
yeah. So here's a house. It's small. It's 950 square feet, but 3 beds, 2 baths. It's in Roxbury Run, right? So you have access to a pool and other, amenities and things. So that is one that, and it has 14 acres.
No.
The natural, that's
1.4 acres.
1.4 acres. Great. Well, a lovely 1.4 acres. Okay. Now we're going to go here. Crystal Meadows Road in Colchester. Whose is that one?
That was mine too. Yeah, it's a little further out, right near Hamden. So not terribly. It was like 20 minutes to like Delhi. So again, beautiful, beautiful mountaintop, great neighborhood, tons of acreage, and it needed a little updating, but it's in like super great condition. Again, a weekend escape for my buyers.
I mean, that one is kind of shocking. I mean, $320 for 11 acres, 3 bed, 2 bath chalet is, and there's views also. Mountain views.
Yeah.
So in this one, Lee, isn't this the one where our buyers were the very first ones to put in the offer? And even though it was the multiple offer situation, the sellers really appreciated this, with the speed with which they, submitted.
No, the speed, but they were impressed with the patience, because I think we put in the offer on a Tuesday and they wanted to honor the showings they had through the weekend. So my buyers sat and waited and were patient. It was a multiple offer situation, and the sellers chose mine, even though they were not the highest, because they were so patient.
So that's 1,900 square feet, 3 bed, 2 bath, almost 11 acres. And when was that? When did you make that deal? Do you remember?
That is, hold on one second.
It was last spring.
It was the end of the summer, August. It closed.
So one thing that I should say that I probably should have said at the beginning is that we are absolutely still finding homes for people. Like, so even though it's like, this is tough, and we're finding homes for people all over in all of the areas, and the buyer's agents on the team are totally dedicated. That's all they do, is like look for great homes, negotiate, help really craft like an amazing offer. And with all of those things, like what Lee just said, like getting an offer in early, and whatever is right for that particular situation and is gonna help the buyers, we are like hyper focused on figuring that stuff out and constantly improving. So don't get discouraged. That's one thing I do want to say, is that you should not get discouraged by what is happening with this market, because two reasons. One is that I really believe prices are going to continue to increase. So like if you get discouraged now and they keep going up, like a lot of people, you know, in 2020 and 2021 were like, I'm going to wait. And then like the prices have just kept going up. And there are so many structural reasons, again, national, local, why a house like this is going to be very hard to find for 320 for much longer anywhere, you know. So Fish Hollow, who's that one? That's you too, Lee, right?
No,
That's me.
That's
Hey,
all right.
Lee.
Okay, talk about that one. That one's so
Yeah,
cute.
I love this one.
1,200 acres, 1,200.
It's such a steal.
That's like a
They bought all
1,200
of Delaware County. No, just kidding.
I'll just let you describe it.
This one is right outside of Andes, in that area that Angelica so poetically described earlier, which is like rolling hills, farms, horses, beautiful sunsets, like everything's amazing around it. It's off a smaller road with great views, horse farm across the street, log house. Needed some updating, but it's just such a good, seemingly solid home. The inspection went great. The property is just very private, but you can see a lot. And it's 2-bedroom with one of them being lofted. So, you know, you don't have a ton of bedrooms, but the size and like structure of the house just like flows very well. And there's a beautiful sunroom off the side. And it was multiple offer. And they did go, I think it was listed at 360. So they did have to go up, you know, but it worked out and I'm so happy for them. And I don't know if this house would be 400 anymore. You know what I mean? Because it just closed, but they found it, you know, 3 months ago. So, but I love this one.
So let's, and like, you know, and there's two timing questions here. Scott just asked if those, the numbers we were quoting about the increases, like if January makes a difference, like the median sales price or whatever. So the number we're quoting always compares this January to last January. So in that case, it already takes like seasonality sort of into account. And yes, there is seasonality in our market. And the other thing to mention, which is what Hillary just kind of alluded to, is that it takes a long time from offer to closing here. So like it can take like, I mean, we usually say three months for finance deals, you know, can be 4 to 6 weeks for cash, but and that's getting a little quicker as appraisers are getting more quick. The towns are getting a little quicker with things just for a variety of reasons. But if for a while it was really solidly 3 months for financed offers, which means in a market where things are going up 35% in a year, putting an offer in October and closing, you know what I mean, and closing in December, you're in a different market practically. You're in a market that's gone up in those 3 months more than it goes up generally per year. So that's something that's very weird, and also weird about when people are looking at the prices and they go, oh, well, look, there's a ton of things for like 450, 500, and not realizing that the prices of the sale don't get posted till after it closes, which is 3 months later. And I know for us, like we are pricing things in a way, our listings that we think are fair, and they are definitely still going 20% over this year. And not always, not every house, but it's as busy. It's really as busy as it has been. All right. And then we got another one. Whoa, what's this one?
Hillary and I sold this one.
Oh, look, you actually have photos too. And this was sold for 1.25
compound
in Bovina.
This is like a great example of something that would cost twice as much if it was in Ulster or Dutchess.
Yeah, this one had a great house, turnkey, already has a history of rentals. If they, want to do that, has a pool, an in-ground pool, hot tub, pool house that can also be used for sleeping, and then a 2-car or 3-car garage, like huge garage with an apartment above it as well. And then 50 acres, 3 ponds, like amazing. And then you're just near a ton of cool stuff, which may not be obvious, but I think Angelica and I's one of our favorite restaurants is in Bovina.
Oh my God.
Brushland eating.
Yeah.
So
So
literally probably one of the best meals I've ever had in my entire life.
That's a pool house? Oh my
Yeah.
God. What?
Right?
So super
Ew,
secluded. You
I
have a
like-
neighbor down the street, but I think it's a private road. But yeah, just like it
As if
opens up
50
and like,
acres weren't private enough.
right. But
I'm
then you
sorry, what
are
is
like,
going on with this house?
that's the
Well,
apartment above the garage.
If we had listed this would not have been 1.25. I'm just saying.
We got it just in time. The agent told us that too.
Mm.
So, but you are within like 10, 20 minutes of so many cool things. It's just like not, we don't see as much on Instagram and stuff like that in those denser areas, but there's so much good stuff out in this area and like really great meals. There's just fewer of them, I think.
Yeah.
But you can still get really high quality amenities and
Amazing
there
food.
are grocery stores, that kind of stuff.
I think that I heard that
Thanks.
thought I heard that Allison Roman had bought Brushland Eating House. Is that correct? Or bought something over there?
I don't know.
Who's a really famous, also like cook Instagram. I mean, she's Instagram, but she's a cookbook author. She's amazing, and I know she spends a ton of time out there. I thought that I had
Maybe
read
the general store or something else because they were
I
running
bought Table on
Russell's.
10 and opens it up again.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Bovina.
Yeah, food writers hang out at Brushland.
Whoa, look at
for
this!
sure.
Look what I found here. Oh no, that's her just joining it as a guest chef. That's less exciting, but it doesn't mean that rumor wasn't true. I swear I thought I heard something. Early rumblings of an Allison Roman eatery. Okay. Who knows? That like literally that could. Anyway. I thought I read it somewhere, but and I think that like Andy's has a ton of cute stuff. That is one of the denser towns.
Denser.
And-
It's literally like a quarter of a mile long.
Well, yeah, but like look at like people have heard of Kerhonkson, and Kerhonkson has not as much as Andy's.
It's true. Andy's is super curated and cute, and like, yeah, every shop is cute. Like, it's just awesome.
All right, fine. We're looking at things not on our own website because they're less likely to
I
show.
know. I'm like, if you want pictures, this was like one of my favorite homes.
What?
This was like in
Oh,
Stamford, but Hobart. It was the most 60 acres,
Mhm.
like bonker views,
Wow.
impeccable finishes.
I've like
it was-
gone somewhere and now I can't like
Yeah.
I can't make it
Solar
small.
panels.
Here we go. 59 acres.
It
What?
gorgeous.
Ridiculous.
Is that a hot tub? It's not a hot tub. No. It's just-
No.
Oh my God, I did it again. Look, I'm in the maps section. Damn it. Do you guys feel like you're watching some kind of a grandmother do the internet? Because I feel like that right now. What do I nudge? What button do I do? What? For $850? What?
It was crazy beautiful. And there's like a separate garage that was renovated into a guest house that has its own separate bathrooms, like
What?
window
With 60
garage.
acres?
it's gorgeous. Look at that bathroom.
Did this one get competitively?
There was
So
one
they're
other
working-
offer, but my buyers got in and we
Oh my
put in
God,
a
this is
strong
the guest
offer.
house?
Yeah.
Back off on the grandmother talks. Sorry.
I mean, we would sell
Again.
this guest house for $850 in Ulster.
Yeah. It's so gorgeous.
My not current grandmothers. My grandmother. I'm a child of the 70s, so my grandmother definitely did not grow up with internet. I'll say that. Oh my God. Oh yes. Hillary just posted a new one. Camp Here. This is another one. This just dropped
This
400,000.
is available, not sold. And this is by me.
665, y'all.
20
20
acres.
acres. Yeah, Hillary, you talk it through it. I'll try and click on this and not break anything.
So this is an existing, I think they're on Airbnb. It's like glamping and there's like a small A-frame on it. This is near West Fulton, which is a really cute town that has, what is it called? Scrubby U Cidery and Panther Creek Arts. And it's a small town in like the middle of the mountains. But this is
So
near
cute
there
there.
and me. Yeah. And it's just beautiful. I mean, obviously their pictures are great too. But this is for someone who would want kind of to run a glamping compound or have something for you and your friends. It's just tons of space. There's a huge price drop too.
Yeah, it was $1 million before.
So it's kind of like your own little private oasis.
And
in the
there's Wi-Fi,
mountain.
it says too.
Yeah. Well, here's a big thing in the
Yes,
past
talk to us
couple
about
years.
internet access.
In a former life, and still I care a lot about tech equity and digital equity, but broadband's affordability and access is a huge issue across the state. And New York State gave 500 million for rural broadband in the past few years. It's over now, and they're starting a new round of funding for better broadband in the state. But a lot of these areas up here now have what I find faster Wi-Fi than I had in the city, because you have really robust fiber networks without as many people on it. And so like the local company up here, Margaretville Telephone Company, with Spectrum up where I am now, they just have really great fiber. It doesn't go everywhere, but there's just a lot more Wi-Fi and fiber up here than you would think in the past few years.
And HughesNet is coming everywhere else. Wait, is that the one that's Elon?
No,
Musk
HughesNet's the satellite.
is?
It's the Tesla.
No,
one,
we
or
don't like
the
HughesNet. What's the Elon
space
Musk?
something?
Buy something.
Anyways.
Skynet. It's a movie with from the 90s.
Arnold
Space
Schwarzenegger.
Cowboys. Anyways.
Somebody in the
I
audience
think it's
probably
called
knows.
Skylink or something like that.
Oh,
but
Skylink sounds real.
it's
Anyways,
really, really, really expensive.
no, it's not. No, people in Worsing had it. It was like I mean, it was because satellite is more
But
expensive.
you have to
than
buy
broadband.
the $2,500 satellite first.
I think it's Starlink,
Starlink.
and it's from SpaceX, Tesla
Yeah.
people, right?
Okay, to be researched. We'll discuss that in another.
Yeah, we're just making stuff up now.
But this place, if you want to see it, Hillary mentioned it, so everyone write to Hillary, 2 L's, even though I was the only one to ever spell it with 1 L. Look, there are waterfalls, swimming holes, and eternal campfires, which sounds a little bit like Hanukkah and a little dangerous simultaneously. I'm not sure what that means. Does anyone else have any? Do you guys have any other listings you want to share? If not, that's fine.
63 Fiddler's Elbow.
What is it?
Yeah.
63 Fiddler's Elbow.
Are you saying 60?
63.
Oh my God.
Margaretville. That's a good idea, Angelica. That's a great one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Wait, this is, I was like, wait, we sold this one. Yeah, we sold. So, yeah, 4-bed, 4-bath, 2,700 square feet. And they're going to be renovating this one.
Mhm. Yeah, if you follow, I think it's called the Ruby House now on Instagram.
I mean,
And we-
625 for this again. Yeah, no. And you would not get this.
And
Ulster.
you're like 5 minutes from Margaretville, which is a really cute town with Cafe Marguerite and Margaretville Home Goods and a grocery store and a shoe shop. And it's such a cute town.
Actually, one of the other things that's interesting about that side of about that area is that you're often in the watershed district. So so there's a couple of things about that. One is that a ton of land has been preserved for good or for bad by New York City, essentially, to protect the watershed, which is all the water going into the reservoirs for New York City water. But also the Catskill Watershed Corporation will often pay for I mean, the program keeps coming back, so I don't know if it'll ever not come back, but they pay for all of septic repair or replacement for full-time homeowners and 60% for people who are part-time residents. This is such a cool house. Will this one be for sale, Angelica, or is this where they're going to be living? I can't remember.
No, this is their Airbnb.
Oh
So pretty.
my God. Hey, you know what I'm going to do? Let me post or I could just show you guys where to go, whatever. If you want to work with one of the buyer's agents on the team, because I was like, I want to work with one of the buyer's agents on this team. I'm going to post this here. You just fill out this little questionnaire and you'll get in touch with somebody. Or we will pair you with an agent that we think is right. And DJ, to answer your question, it's a different question than you had before, but Hancock, I think Hancock is in that same Delaware River area. I do think people are being more open to going to, I think people are more open to going to different areas for sure, because they're just not finding what they want in the areas that they have heard of necessarily. And they know that they have to go a little bit outside of things to get more value. And I think like maybe 5 years ago, that meant you would look in Carhonkson and not Woodstock or Rhinebeck. And now it is like you are looking in Stamford maybe and Hancock and not even like Andes or, Jeffersonville, which like even 3 years ago, I feel like wasn't a thing, but it feels like, I think that we're seeing also, this is this is my own personal theory that may not be true, but I think as more people move up here full time, there will be more people who are living in the city or who are working remotely, whatever. We've seen some people who kept their Airbnb and bought a bigger, or kept what was their weekend home and moved into a bigger place, kept that home, are Airbnb-ing it and using it for their own like second home vacation home. So like instead of coming from New York City to a vacation, well, Jen, our chief of staff, actually on our team, moved to Wilton, Connecticut. She lived in the Upper West Side. She moved to Wilton, Connecticut, just over the border, and still has her place in Sullivan County where her family lives, but she like, you know, will go for their vacation. My husband and I have a place in Sullivan County that we use as our like little vacation home and also rent it out part-time. So I think that that's the other interesting thing, because for me, from Kerhonkson, Willowweemock is only where our house is only like less than an hour. So if somebody were living somewhere like Narrowsburg, then to go to Hancock is going to be even shorter. So if someone wants something specific that they like, they're working from home, but they like love to hike, or they love to fish, or they love to ski, or they just want to like a little investment property and to be able to have a getaway that's maybe more remote, I think that weirdly we're going to see some like a second home, this traditional second home market for this area has been the Adirondacks. So people who live here buy in the Adirondacks. So it's like literally almost the same distance up. But I think that people who are here who've moved from the city might buy in these other attractive, you know, like towns that they've heard of, that their friends maybe have Airbnbs in. Like if I live in Kerhonkson, maybe I buy a place near Hudson or Ghent because I have friends over there and I want to like experience something different. So Robin just wrote, do you think people will start building more since the current supply is so low? Building as much as they can. Yeah, it's just building is almost always still more expensive than buying. Like it just is. So if people have the means, then a lot of people are looking to build for sure. But it's, you know, especially with the cost of materials going up, and especially with the cost of materials going up at an uncertain, like basically if you were to buy land now and wanted to build a house, you would probably not be moving into the house until, 12 months from now, maybe late fall.
Maybe even more like that. And that's if like you already have a house designed and ready to go and a builder lined up
Right. So 1 or 2 years from now, the cost of materials could go up a lot more also. So we were talking to a mortgage broker about that, about how some builders are they're either building in inflation clauses that say that like, if, certain materials go up a certain amount, they can increase the price, or they aren't. And then the builders are losing money. And I guarantee you when builders are losing money, they're going to be like cutting corners. There's no way, I think. I don't want to say that. I'm not trying to malign builders, but they're going to have a heart-to-heart conversation with you about like, hey, I don't want to lose money in your house because plywood costs more than it did. And I will say that like, just to bring in a little bit of current events and what is happening today in Ukraine is obviously serious and is going to have an unknown impact on all of this, and will likely keep interest rates low, but will probably increase the prices of everything, including, fuel and things. I just, yeah, if Russia shuts off its airspace, there's going to be no flights from Europe to Asia. It's, it's a war like that puts a whole new level of uncertainty, I would say, into a lot of this stuff. On that note, is there anything else that you guys, well, I guess if you could just do like 1 minute on, are there any downsides to being further out of the city, or in those areas that happen to be further out of the city?
You could be further from like a hospital, which is like the main reason why I didn't move full-time out to a more remote location. So for me, I was like, I want to be within 20 minutes to like a major hospital because I have a child and that's important to me. So that's one downside.
Yeah, that's really real. There's not enough medical infrastructure in the rural areas, which is something we should do better as a state on. So the hospitals are pretty far apart, unfortunately.
And I know that childcare, I mean, a lot of things like that are harder, or can be. Well, I don't know if they're more difficult than in the more populated areas in that respect. But Hillary, are you close to Oneonta? Is there a hospital there? There must be, right?
I'm closer to Cobleskill, and there's a hospital there. So a lot of the infrastructure farther out is around SUNYs too. So like sometimes when there's like a SUNY, a State University of New York, so in Oneonta and Cobleskill, Delhi, you get some more amenities sometimes when you have those larger colleges around. And then Albany is like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I was
away,
gonna
so-
say, if you're like up more north, not necessarily west, but like Rensselaerville, Middleburg, like that's closer to Albany, which is, you know, Albany Hospital is right there.
And I will say that, like, it's funny, one thing we didn't mention, but like, and I feel like I thought of a lot when I was first thinking of buying up here is public transportation.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like obviously taking a bus from the city will take like 1,000,000 hours to some of these places, you know, if it's even possible. But I mean, even to Woodstock, it's like you have to go up to Kingston and then all the way over. I think that more, I mean, obviously there are not trains anywhere on the west side of the river. Buses to some closer place, like to places like Kingston, New Paltz. I mean, New Paltz is like 90 minutes and the buses run every like 5.5 seconds. Well, like,
It's the same bus that goes all the way to Oneonta.
oh my God. So,
Just go straight across 28.
and there are buses you know, to like places like Livingston Manor, but like when I've looked, they seem to take like 4 hours. So I would say that in these areas, you're not looking at public transportation. You're not picking up someone from the Amtrak. You're not driving over to the Metro North to do that. I will also say that I don't do that ever anyways from here. Like, I think that after a little while, when you live here, you just get used to driving, you know, I don't know. It's just like, yeah.
I mean, the trail
I
is.
have to say at Albany Airport, just telling someone like getting out of Albany Airport, it is so much nicer
much
than
easier, yeah.
LaGuardia or any of the city airports.
And again, this is not true for you, Hillary, because Lee, because you were right across the river from that, you know, Amtrak and Hudson. So
Yes, like anything, you know, I'm Catskill. I'm in Cairo, but it's 20 minutes to the train.
that's
Right
not-
across the river.
yeah. All right. So, does anybody have any other questions? I know we've been talking for about an hour now or trying to watch me use the internet. Do you think rising rates will affect the market at all? So what we've heard is that the rates, so there are, the rates have gone up for second home purchases because of different new, you know, rules and things. They have been over, we just heard, we had a mortgage banker talk to our team on yesterday, and he was saying the 30-year rates are around 4%. For second homes, they're around 4.5, 4.75. But what's happening in Ukraine may cause them to dip again. Maybe. You know, so do I think that they're going to affect the market at all? I don't think at all. We don't know if the rates stay up there. They're still historically low. So still being below 5 is, you know, really, really, really low. And there's still so much pent up demand that I don't see. And I mean, for good or for bad, a lot of the people who are winning the multiple offer situations are either cash offers or people who can afford to waive appraisal contingencies. And again, this is one other reason to want to get out of the areas that are super popular or the one house of the week that everybody wants to buy, you know, and to look for those other things so that you are not like just losing to cash again and again and again. Obviously for cash people, the rate changes don't impact them. Or for someone who's even putting half down, they're not as impacted and they probably don't care as much anyways. So that's it. It was nice to talk to you all. Thank you for joining me, Hillary, Lee, Angelica. And I hope we can work with some of you out there to find a place. And again, please don't be discouraged. Basically, the message of this one should be, there are a lot of places that we're looking and that are, you can find great houses that are great communities in beautiful, beautiful areas. That is actually the take home message, and that there's still some real value out there. So appreciate everyone being here. Thanks.